Hi, I'm the head of the NoAlco Foundation. My name is Michał Banach, and I'm inviting you to talk a little longer about alcohol. Come on. Please join me. Hello and welcome. Today we're meeting again on YouTube. Of course, I'll start by repeating what I always say. There is no safe dose of alcohol, of ethanol. And ethanol alcohol is present in every product that contains it. That means whether it's beer, wine, or vodka, it contains ethanol, and there is truly no such thing as a safe dose of alcohol. So please remember that alcohol is a poisonous substance, a highly poisonous substance. It's a psychoactive substance, and perhaps worst of all, it's a narcotic addictive substance. Therefore, in its effects, it's very similar to cocaine, it's very similar to fentanyl, to all kinds of, to benzodiazepines. It's all one group. These are narcotics. So if you drink beer, you are taking narcotics. That is the equivalent significance of this phenomenon. So today I just wanted to actually discuss the topic of alcohol and really sexuality. Yes, an interesting topic. Sexuality in women and in men, because it's a little bit different for each. Alcohol affects potency, of course, libido, and sexual health. These are physiological aspects, but they're also psychological. And there are various myths and facts about the effects of alcohol. We'll talk a little about that, both in terms of women and in terms of men. Alcohol acts as a depressant. First and foremost, it weakens the nervous and hormonal systems. And while many people believe that alcohol improves their sex life, in the long term, its impact is absolutely, overwhelmingly negative. It lowers the quality of your responses during sexual contact, it suppresses emotions, and it reduces satisfaction. And the effects, of course, depend on the amount, the frequency, and the duration of consumption. But alcohol is, it's a poison, plain and simple, including when it comes to sexual matters. So what about for men? Well, of course, alcohol causes problems with erections. It also causes delayed ejaculation and a drop in testosterone, which means a drop in interest in the opposite sex, right? Regular alcohol consumption leads to damage of the vascular and hormonal systems. In other words, it lowers testosterone levels and affects blood flow to the penis. This, of course, results in problems with erections. Often, there are also difficulties in reaching orgasm. Well, this is because the cells are simply desensitized, right? There's a reduced sensation during sex itself. Well, of course, a decrease in desire, a lack of initiative, suppression of emotions, all of this happens after drinking alcohol, right? And while alcohol itself might give you a bit of courage, and maybe men feel then that they are simply indestructible, that they're heroes, amazing, and so on and so forth. But that's not the case. That's not the case. All it takes is for morning to come, and suddenly the guy can't really do anything, right? For women, it looks a little different, but there are cycle disorders. Here, of course, there's the problem with menstruation. You know, do I have it? Don't I have it? Will I get pregnant? Am I pregnant? Will I not get pregnant? And so on. But also, on a purely mechanical level, there are problems with vaginal lubrication. Estrogen levels also drop in women. Women in general react a bit differently to alcohol than men do. Alcohol consumption can cause irregular periods, reduced lubrication, of course, and difficulties in reaching orgasm. Again, for the same reason I mentioned with men. The sensation during intercourse is, well, severely limited. And of course, I don't even want to get into the topic of fertility here, right? I mean, how it is for both men and women. Yes, we'll talk about that in a moment, but here, alcohol is a killer, an absolute killer. Libido in women. Well, first of all, a loss of desire, difficulty experiencing pleasure. You know, women who consume large amounts of alcohol, at some point they just stop feeling like doing anything at all, not to mention that intercourse itself stops being enjoyable. Of course, in the beginning, there's this sense of relaxation, right? This illusory feeling of openness at parties, right? Where it's fun, guys, and so on and so forth. But in the long run, it has an absolutely negative effect on libido, on experiencing intimacy. Women more often report a lack of desire for sex and difficulties with emotional engagement in a relationship due to alcohol consumption. We'll pause for a moment. If you'd like to support the NoAlco Foundation, please go to the website noalco.com. There's a gateway for donations there. But if you don't want to spend your own money, go to the website fannymoney.pl/noalco. It's an application that with every purchase you make leaves a little something in our pocket. We're back to the program. As you can see, alcohol affects everything about us. The psychological effects, both sides feel them. Shame, regret, problems with emotional intimacy. Alcohol reduces the ability to build relationships between people, relationships based on trust, on intimacy. And after intercourse, feelings of remorse often appear, or a kind of indifference, sometimes even guilt, sadness. In relationships based on sex after drinking, there's a kind of withdrawal, an emotional distancing. In fact, that kind of sex really has no meaning. And then there's something that unfortunately can appear with alcohol, and that is sexual violence. Men often think that they perceive, after drinking, they perceive signals from women that they're ready for sex, and so on and so forth. That's often not the case. How many women in their lives have experienced sexual harassment at a drunken party, having their boundaries crossed? Right? And not just verbally, but how many times have you felt a strange guy's hand on you? Was that nice? I don't know. I don't think it's nice. Alcohol in general significantly increases the risk of sexual violence. It weakens the ability to make conscious decisions, to interpret situations. That's what I was talking about, that men think there's this kind of consent. But often it leads to a situation where one side doesn't consent to it. In the long term, hormonal disorders, fertility complications, and sexual depression may occur. Alcohol addiction can lead to permanent hormonal changes. It's worth mentioning here that women get addicted to alcohol much faster than men, and that causes their hormonal changes to be even more severe than for men. Erectile dysfunction, lack of orgasm, a drop in libido, damaged, crushed, non-functional sperm, infertility. And on top of that, emotional and social problems appear. We stop liking each other, and really at some point you don't even know what's going on anymore. Alcohol and sex, absolutely. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, not true. It's a myth. In the media and in culture, you often see ads, alcohol ads, that portray drinking as something that makes you more attractive. I'm cooler, I'm nicer, I'm more handsome, more beautiful. Self-confidence, sexual success. If you have a drink, it'll be great. Meanwhile, the reality is the complete opposite. Alcohol destroys relationships, causes isolation, frustration. What can you do? Well, obviously, don't consume ethanol. People who drink, well, unfortunately, have to treat their addiction and also rebuild their intimate lives. The most important thing is to talk to each other, to find a way to counteract this, because alcohol can completely destroy a relationship. Alcohol can also completely destroy sexual relations. That's why it's worth talking. It's worth maybe sometimes going to couples therapy. But alcohol and sex, it's a bad combination. Alcohol doesn't help. It harms. Alcohol completely takes away the ability for authentic connection, for drawing joy from intimacy. A sex life is great, but in sobriety. And it's great because it's deeper, more satisfying, conscious. It's not a quickie in the bathroom at a party. Yeah, please don't drink alcohol and absolutely do not mix it with your intimate life. I wish you all the best. If you liked it, then like it, of course, subscribe and leave comments. And if you want to help the NoAlco Foundation, go to noalco.com. I wish you all the best. Hey,